Hi guys. So I am an English tutor, and the purpose of this YouTube video is to go through an answer to a question done in one of my classes, and then to discuss uh, English language errors with regard to that answer. So without further ado, with further ado, I'm not sure. Without further ado, no more ado. Yep. Can you explain to me how a car works? Should be part one. But the errors here, are going to have to do with these four things. Okay, so the answer that the student gave, and let's put this in black. Generally speaking, cars work with an engine. Two different engines we have. Actually, three different kind of engines we have. A car drive force comes from three different sources: batteries, hybrid, and or fuels. Engines make the driving force moving a vehicle, and the answer sort of goes on. So that was the student's answer to this question. And we're going to go over the mistakes that I saw and the explanations for those mistakes. So, first of all, generally speaking is fine. Cars work with an engine. So, my issue here, I would have said are powered by instead of work with. So that's error number one. Yeah. So cars work with an engine. Why would we use are powered by instead of work with? Well, work with has other meanings. Person A works with person B is one of the meanings, is the typical standard meaning of work with. So, the relationship between a car and an engine is causal. So, the engine causes the car to work. The engine activates the motion of the car, which is why the phrase "are powered by" is used. In other words, cars don't work together with an engine, they work because of an engine. And to express that thought, I would use the phrase "cars are powered by an engine" rather than "work with." So, in the revised answer, we'd have generally speaking, cars are powered by an engine. Moving on. I guess this could just be bolded to indicate that we've gone through it. Two different engines we have. So two is fine, but different creates an issue. So there's two problems here. The first problem is the placement of the subject following a pronoun which is atypical in English. What does that mean? Two different engines is the subject of your sentence. It's the noun which starts your sentence off. We is a pronoun, so you end up with a structure that is subject plus pronoun, and that's not typical in English. That's a sentence structure error. So standard sentence structure goes subject followed by a verb. I believe this is a common first lesson for English learners: subject, verb, object, sentence order. So revising this to "we have two different engines" makes the sentence more correct, because "we have two different engines" would be we, which is your subject, have, which is your verb, two different engines would be your object or noun. So that first revision then, I would write we have two different engines, which still leaves us with an issue. And the second problem is an issue with this revised sentence. And so that's kind of interesting that I'll fix a sentence and then I'll point out a second issue based on the sentence that I just fixed. But often in English, the idea is to tutoring, anyways, the idea is to recycle the words that are used and then fix one issue and then fix the next issue. So we fixed the word order issue, and now we're doing the vocabulary problem. The second problem is the revised sentence. We have two different engines. We wouldn't say we because we're not discussing ourselves, right? It's not we work with two different engines. It's cars have two different engines. That's the only correction I'd make there to make the sentence coherent. So that's a vocabulary problem. The student continues. Actually, three different kind of engines we have. So the issue, we have two issues, and these are the same as the ones we just addressed. The sentence should be revised to actually, so actually is fine. It should be revised to actually, cars have three different kinds of engines. Okay? So instead of three different kind of engines we have, I've repaired another error that I'm not going to get into here, but I added the S here. Actually, cars have three different kinds of engines. Again, we have the sentence structure problem. So over here, the revised version would read, actually, cars, again, instead of we, have three different, okay, let's say kind of engines. So the issue remains with the word kind. Just in brief, because I didn't really catch this the first time, but different reflects multiple. So you can have multiple kinds of something. Many kinds of candy. It's like types, and it has to be plural. That's really all the explanation that I can offer to this point at the moment. So actually, cars have three different kinds of engines. That's fine. There's a second issue with the sentence before we move on. I guess a third issue at this point. But one useful stylistic note here is that if you'd like to avoid repetition, sometimes it helps to use synonyms, right? So here you have cars have two different kinds of engines, and then you have cars have three different kinds of engines. The repetition of the word different, good grammar, but not necessarily good style. So I would revise it to, actually, cars have three unique types of engines. So have three unique types of engines. Different and unique are interchangeable. Kinds and types are interchangeable. Basically, you just add more variety to your sentences by using synonyms sometimes. That's one way to reduce repetition in your paragraph. Moving on. A car drive force comes from three different sources: batteries, hybrid, and or fuels. So there are two issues with this sentence. One that I'll address now in a little bit more detail, the other one not so much. So a car drive force. So a car is your noun, and then drive force is another noun. In English, you don't have noun plus a noun, or noun plus a pronoun with nothing in between. So this should all be one single noun, and it should show possession, because you're talking about the vehicle's drive force. So you show possession by, that's right, using an apostrophe. So a car's drive force. And then the rest of the sentence, let's just type it out as it is, comes from three different sources. This is the correct use of a colon. Batteries, hybrid, and or fuels. Although this was a spoken answer, so this is me using the colon correctly. A car's drive force comes from three different sources: batteries, hybrid, and or fuels. I'm not going to get into what's wrong with this, but basically batteries is fine. Or I guess let me revise it up here. Batteries is fine. Fuels is fine. And or is also fine, but hybrid is unclear. So I guess we would say it's unclear vocabulary, right? If you wanted to rephrase this, you might say batteries, fuels, or a mixture of both, right? Assuming that's what we're talking about when we're referring to hybrid, I would say, or a mixture of both. Can't really get into why, but that is my native English take on this. Our last sentence that we're going to get through today. Engines make the driving force moving a vehicle. So the issue with make, we came up with make. Oh, okay. We don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with make. No, yes I do. Yes I do. It's not the best vocabulary in this case. Can't really explain why, but definitely the better synonym here would be engines, as I wrote here, generate the driving force. So create, generate, and make are all synonyms here, but make just sounds wrong to me. So it's kind of a difficult point for me to say why right now, but I'd say the replacement is necessary for this to be correct in terms of vocabulary. Engines generate the driving force. And then we have our last part, moving a vehicle. Engines generate the driving force moving a vehicle. So for this one, the issue is the fact that it's an ing verb, an ing word. Ing words can be present participles, as in I am. Okay, so right here, I was moving to the other house this weekend. Was moving. It's a verb. It's part of a verb tense, right? So that's what our present participle is. It's the present continuous verb tense. Or ing words can be used as gerunds. One of the things I hate about moving is all the old stuff you end up leaving behind. Moving here is an activity. That's also a noun. It functions as a noun. One of the things I hate about this noun. So, in our case, it's not a present participle because there's no verb preceding it. So, engines make the driving force moving a vehicle. Where's the verb? The driving force is not a verb. Moving is also not a gerund. So imagine the sentence as engines, noun, make, verb, the driving force, noun. If moving was a gerund, this would also be a noun. So this would be noun plus noun plus noun. So noun, noun, noun. Poor sentence structure. So instead, this is an interesting topic, but we're sort of running short on time with this app, which records maximum 15-minute videos. Basically, the correct revision would be engines generate the driving force to move a vehicle, because then you have noun, verb, noun. So our final version is engines generate the driving force to move a vehicle. Okay, so this is our older version, and this is our revised version, and I will continue to update little snippets of, little grammar lesson snippets, as I've done today, in future videos, and thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful to you as an English learner. Have a good day.